Hey, welcome back to the Gold Creek Extended Cut Podcast, where we dive a little bit deeper into the weekend message. My name is Nick. I'm the pastor at Gold Creek, predominantly at the Mill Creek location.
Come on.
Here with Mike.
My name's Mike. I'm the campus pastor in
Michael.
Monroe.
You actually go by Michael.
No, I don't.
When did you rebrand to Mike?
I never rebranded. It just happened. Everyone from my childhood, like growing up, calls me Michael. Everyone
After Michael Scott? Was that your inspiration?
No, after more biblical reasons, actually.
The Archangel?
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents love Jesus. It means
That's
like
good.
God, and Does
it?
Yeah, it does. Dude,
Okay,
look it up
great.
right now. Put it on chat.
That's okay. Well, that's reliable.
Dude, we know you write your sermons that way.
I like them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, after high school, everybody started calling me Mike. And it's just kind of stuff. Pastor Michael sounds weird. That's part of the reason why I've kept it.
I don't know anybody. Do I know any Michaels? I'm trying to think if I know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hey, we start a new series.
Come on.
Full Force Faith.
Full force faith. Dude, the F's.
Somebody was like, are you going to get all those F words right? It's like,
I might mess one up.
What do you mean by that? Full Force Faith. This series is one that this was sort of your, like, it was in your heart, Mike. Tell us about it, bro.
So here's the thing. I came with this series idea.
Yes.
At our sermon planning retreat. This is like 2 years ago. And then once we got to it.
Was it received well or no?
You didn't like it. And I was like, no, this is going to be great. And then when we got to the planning process of it, you loved it and I hated it.
Okay.
And then you were trying to get me to communicate what it was supposed to be. And I'm like, I don't even remember. I don't like this idea. Let's not do it. But now we're here.
But now we're back.
We're here. And so the heart of the series, at least from like when I was thinking about it, is I think oftentimes people begin to start following Jesus for the first time, or maybe come back for the first time in a long time to church or to faith or whatever it is. And sometimes it can feel as if this church thing or this walking with Jesus thing is like, I just got to start living differently and doing all of these things. And like, then everything's going to be good.
Try harder.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like it almost like powerfully changes anything in my life supernaturally.
Yeah.
And so the heart behind the series is, what does it look like for us to basically go all in, us to take our faith full force all the way forward and experience the power and the presence and all of those good things.
Dude, and because you're wearing the hat, I think you wore it on purpose, but Mike has an IronMan hat on right now.
I did show up late to this podcast because I forgot.
Because he went to get it.
Stupid.
So you did
I did a half. So technically I'm not allowed to wear this hat, but I just said, you know what?
Wow.
Who cares?
I hope there's IronMan people watching. I'm thinking of a couple actually at the church that are probably like hard judging.
They're going to pick it in Monroe because of my hat, dude. He's a fake.
Okay, so like IronMan training full set. This is what I've heard. This is an unscripted segue, but like I've heard you can do the half Ironman with some training.
Yep.
If you're in relatively good shape, me and you.
Weak ACL, but you're in good shape. But weak ACL.
Not weak anymore. It's reconstructed. It's stronger than ever. So you could not come off the couch, but you can, with some training, do the half.
Yeah.
But if you want to do a full, it doesn't fit into your life.
It's like a part-time job.
Part-time job.
Yeah, they say you can get away with 6 to 12 hours of training a week for a half so that you don't absolutely die. Like I'm sure someone could come off the couch and just be miserable all the way through.
Okay.
But they say 6 to 12 hours a week of training.
That's not bad. Doable.
Not bad. Easy to get into a rhythm of like you can work out 1 hour a day.
That just becomes your workout routine.
That just kind of becomes your workout routine. But then for a full, you basically got to double that. So anywhere from 14 to 24 hours a week is kind of the flow. So I did a half.
Okay.
And, training was up and down. I survived.
You made it.
I made it. I was proud of myself.
You swam down river?
Bro.
Down a river.
I picked a great...
You floated.
I did swim, but it was a fast river, dude. Some of the Ironmans are in rivers, decent amount, not just this one.
Okay.
Good to know. And it was a really... so it's a 1.2 mile swim. I normally swim that. I'm a relatively slow swimmer. I'm relatively slow at all of the disciplines.
No, not the bike.
I did okay at the bike. It's a 1.2 mile swim. It normally takes me about 45 minutes. Like if I'm in a lake, if I go to Lake Stevens to practice or whatever. It took me 27 minutes in this river. It was super fast.
Dang.
Yeah. The fastest person got out of the water in 16 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that.
Bro, I couldn't walk a mile in that.
Insanity.
Yeah. That's like, it reminds me of that thing at the airport, you know?
That's exactly what it felt like. Yeah. And then you slow down and you're like, I'm still moving relatively fast. Yeah.
Love it. So that's good. I feel like that's a good full send intro.
For sure.
It's like the full iron. But
dude, I'm going to do one.
Are you?
At some point, I got to talk my wife into
it. Hannah, if you're listening.
I told her once all of our kids are in school. Okay. Then like elementary school where they're going for a full day.
We got to stop having kids then.
Dude, we're done.
Okay, got it.
We're done.
Say no more.
Yeah.
Okay, so we started it yesterday. We're camping in the series in 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. I didn't know a lot about the Thessalonians. Did you dig into that a little bit this week?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think the thing that was interesting that you were talking about as we introed into, like, our lead verse was out of the book of Romans,
right?
And how Romans was written afterwards.
Yep.
And how it wouldn't have necessarily been when Paul was writing that. He doesn't say, I'm thinking about this church when he's writing it, but he definitely would have had it in his mind in some capacity from experience.
He had a proof of concept.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think it was just interesting this week preparing as like, this is some of the beginning aspects of the early church, even within the epistles of Paul's writing.
Yeah, it's interesting. With that lens, it was interesting preaching this week, kind of from that perspective, from the First Thessalonians 1 and 2. I think I drifted into 2 a little bit on the back end. You too. We use the same scripture in theory, but it's interesting to be like, okay, this is kind of like prototype New Testament faith.
For sure.
Like these are kind of the components of it. So it's like marked by God's power and presence, suffering well, and then like this evangelistic overtone.
For sure.
I found this, I didn't get to use it yesterday. Oh, here you go. I got my, I'm just gonna bring it in the shot because you know what? This quote from F.F. Bruce didn't make it in. He's talking about 1 Thessalonians. He says, here we see what a young Christian church looks like, bearing the first fruits of gospel power, enduring persecution, and yet already becoming a missionary force in the region. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Like here are the components, early Christian church, like God's presence, bears fruit, and then sends missionaries.
And I like that phrasing of they're already doing this. I think in our context, our season, brand new church, 7 months old.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, honestly, I can feel like, man, we got to figure out how to even be a church before we can start doing things outside, being evangelistic, serving the community well.
Yeah.
But it's encouraging to go, you know what, you can be a young church and just go for
just
full
do
send,
it.
go for it.
What else did you talk about yesterday? What was your favorite illustration?
Dude, I've been telling people in our church if they don't like triathlon illustrations.
Of course, dude. And then we started with one.
I told them they're gonna have to find a new church because it just is what it is for now. It's like Dan and hunting stories. Like it's just
Dan was our founding pastor. If you don't know who that is,
it's just gonna happen.
So I don't have a lot of time, so let me just tell you about several animals I killed.
That wasn't my favorite illustration, but there was a part, I don't remember what verse it was from, but it was saying like they're doing all of these things because of the hope that they have in Christ. I camped out on that word hope a little bit because in point 2 and 3, I think it was point 3 where it was clarify my vision. And we were talking about Peter kind of pulling Jesus aside, going like, hey, if you're going to suffer, that probably means I'm going to suffer.
Yeah, that's problematic for me.
Yeah. That's going to cause some problems. And I kind of camped out on that word hope for a little bit of just going, man, you can experience a lot of really, really tough things, but man, if you have hope, you can get through a lot of the things that are going to come your way in faith. And I think as I was having conversation with our church just in the message about this is like, I think that it is in the presence of God that we're able to consistently see that hope, if that makes sense. So it's like I think sometimes if I'm moving a million miles an hour and I'm not slowing down to get into the presence of God and prayer and scripture reading and worship, all those sort of things, I tend to forget pretty quickly, tangibly, the hope that I actually have in Christ if I'm not constantly reminding myself of that.
Do you know this guy named Brother Lawrence is? Does that sound familiar?
Why is it familiar?
I
feel like I've heard.
You've probably heard of it. I'm going to botch the fact checkers are going to get me on the like what century, but I think it's like medieval period, kind of Middle Ages. He's like a monk.
Yeah.
And his whole thing, I don't think he like wrote maybe he did write some stuff that people lean into, but he had this whole thing about practicing the presence of God. So this was like his whole life's work was like, could he experience God's presence in whatever he was doing? And it's kind of been this interesting, other people have talked about that in different ways. Like I talked about Mother Teresa yesterday.
Yeah.
She's a person who talks about that. This book I read called Lead with Prayer was talking about different, like there's a guy in, I think he's in East Africa, and they think it's like one of the largest. So he has overseen a network that has now planted 15,000 churches throughout the Middle East and Africa and all that. And everybody kind of talks about that same thing, like you're just saying, of just like where God's presence becomes ubiquitous in your life. For sure. You kind of like don't know when it's there, when it's not there. I'm not there.
For sure.
I'm like, that sounds exciting, but I don't live in that.
I read a quote from Tim Keller this Sunday talking about, I'm going to butcher the exact quote, but it was basically, it's like irreligious people find God as useful, and people that are growing in more of an intimate relationship with God see God as beautiful, and the difference is time spent in God's presence.
Interesting.
And I was just like, it's that point of seeing God's beauty in everything, whether it's a good old steak or just good times with the boys or driving on a commute and seeing God's goodness. You know what I mean? It's like seeing God's beauty in every aspect. When it begins to permeate every area of my life, that's when you know, I'm seeing God in the way in which I should.
I'm practicing presence.
Exactly.
I feel like that's like a deep challenge. I'm sure the people listening, if you're listening to the Gold Creek Extended Cut podcast, I mean, you're at least a tier 2 operator. You're into it. So I feel like that's like a good, maybe just a lens of like, how do I practice God's presence more in my life?
For sure.
I feel like if we said that on a Sunday, not that that's a bad thing to say, but that might be too intimidating for some people. Just like, I'm just like working on coming to church. I just did this in worship, which cool. That's totally fine.
I do my hands.
It's like not spiritual, getting spiritual, more spiritual,
super spiritual,
sold, so
dumb.
But I just feel like that idea of how do I practice God's presence a little bit more often? I feel like it's an interesting, and I wonder if like when you do it, like one of the things, well, now when you said it, I'm thinking about like hard times. And so I'm thinking a little bit about last week. I mean, I feel like every church in the region has been rocked by the shooting. You guys you had outdoor service this week. And that was like on your mind.
For sure.
Probably on people's minds. Super tragic, super sad, praying for pursuit, everybody there. But it's like, I think this is a C.S. Lewis thing, kind of like when you said the Tim Keller quote, it made me think of it, is like when you see Jesus, it's like you go to God looking for answers for, this is not a quote, but the generality, like C.S. Lewis is like, you go to God looking for answers for like life's biggest questions. But when you see Jesus, you forget you came there to ask him about that. It's like when you see Jesus, it's like better than any explanation. There's no amount of explanation. And that's like an interesting, I feel like, tricky thing back and forth.
For sure.
How
do you practice that in your, like practicing being in the presence of God in your daily life? How's that changed, I guess, over the years?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think for me, more and more, if I'm really honest, I would say earlier on, so like just quick trajectory, how much time we get? No. So like early on, I went into ministry, like in high school, I felt like I wanted to do other things, all this stuff, but then I was like, man, I just couldn't see myself doing anything else. But when I got into it, I mean, I'm still myself, similar to you. We're still the people we are when we go into ministry and respond to God's call. So I was like a semi-ambitious person, I'm Enneagram 3. So I kind of had this like, man, this is what success would look like. And then that was up and down relationship with that. And then I had a season where I would have probably said my dream job on paper would have been like, man, if I could like serve a variety of churches with something, if we had like something to offer them, a way to help them, I would love to do that. I worked at a season at Christian University where we got to come alongside their leadership programs. And then a little bit more recently, but coming back here to Gold Creek, in a season of professional transition, there's like lots of excitement, lots of vision. And what's interesting now is like, yeah, unfiltered. I've like had low moments and then had high moments too. I've had, fun moments of professional success, and like Easter this year was awesome. I think it was one of our biggest, if not our biggest ever as a church, and all these things. And then, but it was like, I would say actually, now, like the thing I look forward to the most in my day is like if I get that prayer walk in.
Yeah.
Like I think it's becoming more and more where just being in God's presence is so much better than any of the other things that any of the success, because I feel like those are like short term. That's like the dopamine of achievement versus like, the. Not dopamine, like the gratification of a relationship.
Yeah.
So it's like, this feels good because it's like, boom, we hit a goal, but then it's like, boop,
it doesn't stay for a long period of time.
Yeah. And so that's where I feel like in God's presence, it's like this ongoing building relationship where, yes, I'm getting to know God better, but then he's helping me get to know me better.
For sure.
And then I'm like my most authentic, honest self, to use all that. But like I can be my real self there.
Yep.
And I know God knows me and loves me. So yeah. What about you? Is it tell me it's in a river floating downstream.
Dude, it's not during an IronMan.
Okay. Well, a half.
Dude, I don't know. It's funny, as you were talking of like that moment of on your prayer walk where it's not even like this miraculous moment. It's just like, it's almost just like it's comfortable and it sustains you. I was talking about this with my wife recently of like, it's weird. It's actually today is our anniversary. Dude,
Whoa!
7 years, bro. Come on. Got it figured out.
Yeah, that's PhD.
Come on, dude. We got it. And no, the other night we were looking through old photos of when we like first started dating and then our first couple of years of marriage.
Okay.
And we were laughing about how like in that range of our relationship, it felt like we had to like actively do things to feel like good about the relationship. It's like we had to go on a date, or like we had to do this to like feel like we're doing well. And it's like at this point it's like, no, we've done this so long, it's just like there's a dependency when I wake up. I know you're there. I make a decision. I know you got my back. We may not agree on everything, but like I know you're in my corner no matter what. And I feel like in my relationship with the Lord as well, and kind of like you were talking about, is I remember when I was younger in my faith, I used to think I had to have these spiritual high moments, these super early mornings in the Bible, in prayer, in the prayer closet, to be able to like feel the presence of God or whatever. But as I've matured and as my relationship with him has grown deeper, it's become more of just a dependence thing in every area. And so for me, it's not the walk, because to me, I get this moment. I get about 30 to 40 minutes every morning from
before
about
the kids wake up
5:30 to about 6:15.
Okay.
Where I sit at a spot on my couch where I can look out the window. I got a cup of coffee and I'm just reading my Bible. And that consistent rhythm for me has been the thing that's just like, it's
the presence.
The presence. And then I think just trying to be aware of when God's trying to speak to me throughout the day. I think oftentimes I can think that my thoughts are random, which a lot of times they are. I got ADD. But sometimes that's God trying to speak to things in my life and trying to be in tune to that, of not just like washing those away. And that's how I guess throughout the day things have gotten where I feel like I'm experiencing God's presence more tangibly throughout my day.
Dude. So full force, we're also talking about, I'm thinking about we try to make them all P's.
Come on.
So we got purpose, power.
I got to write purpose soon. It's due Thursday.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Purpose, power, and participation. That's this Sunday.
Yep.
Coming up with Convoy, and then proclamation.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's interesting because I feel like all of those kind of emanate from presence.
For sure.
Like even as you were saying that, I told a story at the end of the message yesterday here about dinner with Andrea Lathrop, and she said this, I thought, a really profound thing about how the organization she's with, they were with the founder, and I'll go into it. I mean, they were actually talking about it wasn't even like a spiritual thing. They were talking about reorging. So they've had to like reorg the infrastructure. They just reached their 2 billionth child with the Bible. So I didn't even know, like One Hope is behind Museum of the Bible, The Chosen, the Alpha Youth series.
Really?
I mean, they are the global leading resourcer. And so they're just like, how do you, like, obviously God's working all these things, but how do you manage that organization? So they did this reorg, and they do the global congress it was in Istanbul this year. They do every 2 years.
Okay.
And so there's where Bob was saying, like, hey, I'm not going to see what this team does. Like, I'm going to die. He's late 80s. He's the founder. But he's like, I feel like God's allowed me to see it in the spirit. And it was like, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But then the other thing Andrea said on the other side of that is because I asked her, I was like, I mean, and she's a super gifted leader. She has a doctorate. She's worked at amazing churches. But I'm like, dude, how do you come to work every day and like feel qualified? She's like, I don't. But she was like, I try to get in God's presence, and I realize that God loves me where I'm at. And she said this phrase I thought was so good about God's presence of like, if he's the master, he's not scowling at me. Mm-hmm. He's not like, she didn't say this. I would say it for me. It's like sometimes in the morning you just said, I'm like, am I starting at a net negative?
Got it.
Like, okay, God's frustrated and I'm going to get back to zero.
Yep.
And then from there it's cake.
Yep.
I'm like, no, that's not. I feel like the more I'm in God's presence, the more I'm like, I'm loved, I'm accepted, I'm challenged,
for sure.
But it's like
good.
In grace. And so
it's good.
I feel like the other things that flow from that, if you don't get in God's presence, you don't really know God's character.
For sure.
You don't know God's character, you go through life like trying to win God over.
For sure. Which is it's a tough place.
That's a heck of a thought. So
yeah, dude.
You got anything else, Mike?
Bro.
Is that it? G6 Zennicut?
Dude.
Week
God's
7?
presence, dude.
Is that right?
Is it? I don't know. This is my second time on.
Welcome back.
Welcome
back to
I'm
the
a
pod.
regular, dude. I'm the only one that's gotten 2 appearances, so I'm a favorite. Stupid. So dumb.
Yeah, man. No, it's good.
There you go, dude.
God's presence.
Come on.
Full force faith. Here we go.
Let's get it.
Thanks for checking out Gold Creek Extended Cut. Have a great week.